this question comes to me from Sherry H. Sherry watched the video, Beth Has a Beautiful Practice, and was asking how to get into the hip opener on the forearms. So I'm going to show you this right now. So what I suggest you grab for that particular video is 2 blocks if you have them. If you don't have blocks, you can use books, big books. If you're at home, maybe you'll need a pillow. If you have props, bolster is always helpful, so I just brought the pillow off my bed, and or a blanket. So these are some of the things that can help you with this pose if it tends to be difficult. So this pose is a very deep hip opener, and usually you will do it after you've done a series of warm-ups. So if you watch the video, Beth Has a Beautiful Practice, you don't see this hip opener to the mid to latter half of the class for a very good reason, because you need a lot of time to get warmed up so that you can stay in this pose a little longer. This pose is a variation on the dragon pose in the yin practice, and it's really good at opening those tight hips and stretching out your psoas muscle. So the best way I would start this, or get into this pose, is to step back from a standing pose, because it's a lot easier than trying to step your foot forward. So I'm going to step back with my foot way back to the back of my mat, and then I'm going to take my hands to the floor and lower my back knee down. So now I'll bring my hands to the inside of my front leg. So this is my right leg that's front. And I'm going to turn my right leg out, or my right toes out to the right. I'm also making sure that my knee and my toes are pointing out to the same direction. Then I'm going to slide my left leg back. I like to use my blocks, and you can use your blocks or a pillow. So for me, for you I should say, this may be as far as you get into the pose, and this is a really good hip opener. I'm energetically dragging my front heel back and my right knee or my left knee forward, so I'm getting a bit of a deeper stretch, and I'm protecting all my joints and making sure my muscles are engaged. If you're a little more open in the hips, you can certainly come onto the blocks, and this is where you can come down onto your forearms. It's not necessary. If this doesn't work for you, then I would arrange the props so that you can get the appropriate height to work with coming down onto your forearms. So this is a way that you can look at this pose. I suggest you take anywhere from 10 to 20 breaths in this pose, keeping in mind it's a very intense hip opener, and you really should work with it for what works best for you. So let's go ahead and do it on the other side. So we're going to take a break, and we're going to zoom in and do a close-up on the other side. Hi, welcome back. I'm here to show you the pose on the other side. So initially I step back with my left foot, and this time I'm going to step back from my right so you can see the pose again. So I'm going to come to the top of my mat. The easiest thing to do is, you can do this a couple ways, is to bend forward, take your fingertips to the floor, and step your back knee back. So this is my right knee, I'm stepping back. Now you'll notice on my left side, I'm going to turn my left toes out to the left. Knee and ankle are always in the same direction. Be careful not to let the knee go too far past the toe. It can do a little bit, go past the toe, just because the weight is bearing in the back knee. And again, you might want to pad your back knee if you're going to have issues with it. So you'll notice that my stance is very big, and it's very wide on my mat. So for some of us, I'm using my bricks here, this is as far down as we'll get in this pose. And again, I'm energetically pulling my left heel back and my right knee forward, so I'm getting a very intense stretch. So staying here might be as far as you get. You might not be able to get down on your forearms if your hips are a little tighter. So don't be afraid to use your blocks, your pillow, your brick, your blanket, a cushion from your couch to find this pose for yourself. So I'm using 2 blocks stacked this way. And this is for really tight hips. This is in a very intense pose. So this is what I would do as a modification on this. You can always pause the video and come back to it. So this is where I would be at with this pose. Oh, it's starting to rain. And then if you're very flexible in the hips, as Beth is, when you saw her in practice, she was able to get all the way down onto her pose. So, you know, here is good too. Forearms aren't always necessary, as long as you're feeling a stretch in the body. And when you're coming out of this pose, I suggest that you straighten out through the front leg, push out through the mound of the toe, and take a little bit of a stretch here before you can swing your leg around and either come back to table or seated on your knees. So Sherry, I hope that this is helpful, and for the rest of the members of Yogastea, if you ever have a question about any pose at all or any poses that we do on site, I encourage you to email me at yogastea@gmail.com or visit the Facebook page, Yogastea. The best way to get a hold of me is at Diane Bondi Yoga on Facebook, and leave me a message, and I'll be more than happy to address any of your questions about asana poses. So thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you in the next video. Namaste.